So while Rachel puts the kids to bed, I'm gonna make a HelloFresh meal.
So it's like 3 minutes after I got the kids down, and now Brad is taking his turn putting them back down. They've gotten this habit of, I think in the Precious Little Sleep book, they call it the bedtime rock, where they are in bed, then they get out. They know, like, if I say I have to go pee, I'll be able to get out of bed. So they've done that, and then they have to give each of us a hug and a kiss. So I just wanted to say that one of my favorite things about HelloFresh is that you can customize your meal kit to your family. So they even have like a larger box. If you have a larger family, it has more servings, so you can, you know, feed a larger family with that. And I really love that you can change your delivery days and kind of change up your schedule, so you can skip a week at any time, no problem. If you're on vacation or whatever, you simply just pause your subscription for that week.
No, he picked me up.
Good night.
Daddy didn't pick me up.
He didn't?
No, he can.
Oh, okay. You need to go to bed. Okay. Good night. I absolutely love the packaging, and that it is either already recycled or recyclable, and then it's just like very neatly organized in here by meal. So each of these bags is a meal, and everything that you need is in here to make the entire meal. It's awesome. And it's always refrigerator temperature in here because they have these giant ice packs, and then all of the meat and everything, the perishables, are all underneath the ice packs in the bottom. We have not had this one yet. Smoky crusted chicken with Mike's hot honey. That looks really good. Okay, so we have all of the ingredients, like I said, pre-portioned in here. And the thing is, the produce is so fresh. It actually gets to you faster than it would be.
Faster than a speeding bullet?
Faster than a speeding bullet. Faster than if they were, like if the place that they grow this ships it to the grocery store and then you pick it up from the grocery store, it skips that middleman, and so you actually get the ingredients at its peak freshness. As is evidenced by that cutting technique, you do not have to be a chef to cook these meals. No offense. I mean, it's working. It's working.
I prefer power. There's a ghost in here. I prefer power over finesse.
Yeah, I mean, it's working. I'm not complaining. It looks like you're cutting them with a samurai.
Yeah.
You should throw it in the air and see if you can chop it.
All right.
Okay, oh, this is gonna be good. Oh! Okay, my turn.
All right, your turn.
This feels really dangerous.
Yeah. What are you doing? This is a bad idea.
Let me try again.
That was a bad idea.
You throw it at me.
Okay.
I gotta make sure I have a really good grip on the knife.
This is a bad idea.
Why is it a bad idea?
All right, so do you want me to
possibly happen?
Do you want me to throw it directly at you?
I think more in this direction.
Okay, ready?
Why is it a bad idea? What could possibly happen?
Well, you're just gonna miss it completely. All right, ready?
Am I?
Ready? Okay, here we go. All right, now clean that and let's cook it.
Have you ever tried Mike's Hot Honey? You get it?
Oh, I get it. Nailed it. Do you want to like be all cute and like feed each other?
Oh, that would be so cute.
Okay, feed me.
I want to be fed.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding, honey. Here, let's do it at the same time. Maybe we could intertwine our arms like this.
Oh, we're feeding ourselves? I want to try some of that Mike's honey stuff.
Mm-hmm. Let's do that.
So if you want to get in on the action,
This is really fun.
and try it for yourself, so go to HelloFresh.com and use our code 10 Brad and Rach, and you're gonna get 10 free meals plus free shipping. So HelloFresh.com, 10 Brad and Rach. You won't be disappointed. Huge thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video, and enjoy the vlog.
I don't think I vlogged it all this morning, But the kids and I, so we just got the garage somewhat in order last night. We really completed, not completed, but got closer to completing it.
It's a lot of work taking Christmas decorations down.
It is. We had some outdoor decorations that were just sitting in a pile next to our driveway for a long time, and that was, I'm glad we don't have neighbors that live on the street, because that would have been embarrassing that it's almost February and we had a Christmas sled sitting outside. I guess that could be considered a winter decoration.
Yeah, it's not that Christmassy.
So Brad's officially taking the last of the Christmas up, and now that we have room in our garage, I put up the tent. And I knew Brad was gonna say something. Like, we finally had space out here and it didn't feel like messy and cluttered. As messy and as cluttered, let's be real. And then I put up the gigantic tent in here and it's like totally packed again. But they had fun in there. They ate snacks and we turned all the lights off and they used their flashlights in there and we're shining their flashlights on the ceiling. It was fun.
When are they old enough that we can send them away to camp?
It was a good old time. That's a good question for...
Some of my best memories were church camp in the summers.
That is good to know. See,
and I also went to horseback riding camp with Dennis the Menace, Mason Gamble.
oh my gosh,
I know.
that's crazy. I don't remember ever going to an overnight sleepover camp.
Seriously?
I went to day
wow.
camps, but I think that speaks to the difference in kids' personalities. My mom probably knew that I never would have made it if I went to an overnight camp. I had like anxiety about spending the night somewhere.
Ours were like hours away.
Yeah, that is.
Up in Wisconsin.
I would have been calling my mom the first night and been like, come get me. I would sometimes do that, spending the night at a friend's house. I was that kid.
But yeah, some of my favorite memories are from camp as a kid. Like we did a, multiple years we did a water sports camp. Yeah. And I grew up in the Methodist church. My mom was the secretary for a long time, so I think it started with that. And then horseback riding camp was at the White Pines, I think they called it the Dude Ranch, White Pines Dude Ranch. But that was a lot of fun too. If you're not following our other channel, Brad and Rach, the kids are in bed, we are doing a spending freeze in February. Like we're literally only gonna spend money, obviously our auto pay bills or whatever, and then food. But if we're gonna spend any money, we have to sell something. So it's like I'm over here trying to decide what I could possibly sell.
How about your wheelies?
The wheelies are staying. So I have a lot of brewing equipment. Unfortunately, Pico Brew went out of business. So the future of that is not bright. But there's some really creative guys that are like trying to keep it going by like having a private server and all this stuff. So I'm kind of excited for the future of the Pico. But then I have all this other brew equipment that I could possibly sell. That thing's full of brew equipment. Got a cheese grater. Because the Bears hate the Packers. I could sell my drone. I never used that thing. We have multiple tents.
Did you see that?
I have an old bicycle that we could sell. She's a good kisser. Let's see. I could sell that picture. So, I don't know. I got a little bit potential. So today you kind of just like bent over, like the door of the garage was like, hey, the embryos were set off. So what happened?
I got a call. It's weird that I even answered my phone because I've been having so many robocalls lately. It's unreal.
Luckily, most of them say spam risk, don't they?
I mean, yeah.
Because like all of mine do, which is awesome. So thank you, AT&T or Apple,
Whoever's doing that.
Yeah, because this is great.
Yeah, it'll say, but there's also telemarketer. Sometimes it says telemarketer. Sometimes it says spam risk. And it's weird though because sometimes it's neither of those, but it's an area code around here. It'll be our area code, but a number I don't recognize. And I just don't answer my phone. If I don't know who it is, I just don't answer my phone anymore. So I'm surprised I even answered it because I don't know that I was expecting a call.
You didn't have a feeling in your heart that it was an embryo call?
When I saw that it was 843, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the Charleston area code, isn't it?
Beaufort, yeah. Probably,
I think it's
probably Charleston.
843 or something close to that at least. Answered it, and it was the lab. The embryology lab in Charleston, South Carolina, which they were calling us to let us know that they had thawed our embryos, biopsied them, and refroze them. And that is, if you're new to IVF, or if you're new to like this whole world of infertility, that's a huge deal. I mean, it's a very low risk that they would not survive the thaw, but it is a risk.
Yeah, talking to our reproductive endocrinologist back in December, 2 months ago, he was like not worried about that process at all. Because that was one of the questions that we have. Like, well, is it safe to thaw them and then refreeze them? And yeah, he was like very, 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 very minimal risk.
Less than 1%.
Yeah, so.
And he also, which was also funny enough, our chances of getting pregnant naturally. But he also said, he made a good point that if an embryo is not going to survive the thaw, it probably would never have survived the thaw. So you could be in there ready for a transfer and the embryo doesn't survive the thaw, and you've done progesterone shots, and we, in our case, traveled a long ways to have an embryo transfer, and then the embryo possibly wouldn't survive the thaw. So it sort of eliminates the possibility of that happening at a transfer time.
How do they send, so they do the biopsy. Mm-hmm. So they wouldn't send frozen, so they have to thaw it to do the biopsy.
Right.
And so they just send those cells to the lab. Where's the lab?
I think it's in Florida.
Florida?
Yeah.
Because they overnight, which was what, $200 for shipping?
$150 for shipping.
$150 shipping to overnight, 10 cells or whatever to
exactly.
Florida.
That's weird to think about, that it's probably just 10 cells. Weird. Oh, that is really weird to think about.
Yeah. And then when we did that genetic counseling with the lab down in Florida, they said, 2 to 3 weeks?
Yes.
It'll take to get the results back.
Right. Well, there was this, it's weird because there was this long waiting period between when we talked to our doctor, Dr. Slowey, and when the lab finally got the go-ahead that we were doing this and we signed all the paperwork. And that was sort of a lapse of communication. And I'm glad I went ahead and called back after several weeks had gone by. Our endocrinologist warned us that it could be kind of a long process because the holidays were there, and then the lab waits until they have a slow day because it's a pretty tedious process and they can't be busy doing a bunch of stuff. They wait until they don't have anything going on so they can give it the time and attention it deserves, and which I'm glad for. But
yeah, I hope so.
Exactly. So there was, and then more weeks went by that I thought we should have heard something, and I called and she was like, oh, okay, are you ready to, well, I'll go ahead and put the request into the lab or whatever. It was like, okay, yeah, we've already done the counseling, we've already signed the initial paperwork, which in there had paperwork to sign for a transfer, which it was just like, well, let's just sign it to get this thing going. But not that they can't like accidentally transfer an embryo into me from across the country, so I'm not worried.
I wonder, because you would think that you would have to prepay for that, but we didn't have to prepay.
I had my card information though on the paperwork that I signed. So
they have our credit card number.
Exactly.
But they haven't charged it yet.
They haven't?
No.
I thought we got our receipt already.
Maybe I missed it.
It was a lot less expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, well that's good.
Unless we are also going to get a bill from, I'm assuming we'll also get a bill from our endocrinologist.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, not the bill for the lab.
No, the bill from our office will come in the mail.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, we already paid for we already did the overnight shipping, and then it was what, $200 per embryo?
Correct.
Yeah, so.
It was weird because they had a plan if you have a lot of embryos that you need to have tested. You know, think about some of these couples that have 10 or 12 embryos that they need to have tested.
Yeah.
So they had the option of $200 per embryo, or you could pay, it was like $1,400 for, I can't remember how many embryos. And then there was even a third option, I think, if you were gonna do, if you were—
the first one was up to 10, wasn't it?
Up to 10.
Yeah.
And then if you were in the future planning on doing more embryos later on, then they had another plan for that. It's all really interesting. You know, this is not something that when we initially did IVF, this isn't something that we even considered. We definitely had decided not to do genetic testing. And you know, honestly, I think part of the reason we did not do that is because at that point we had been like waiting so long to become parents that genetic testing would have guaranteed a longer wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
If we had chosen to do genetic testing, it would have been a for sure freeze the embryos and transfer later. And funny enough, we ended up having to do that anyway, so it's not like it would have mattered. We could have just like gone ahead and done it then, but at that point we were just like ready to roll. So, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna wait till he comes back over.
So if you're new around here, we'll do a quick recap for you.
Yeah, we did IVF in 2017 after trying for a baby for a year unsuccessfully. Did IVF, ended up with 4 embryos, which I think was lucky compared to some people. We're now stuck with the decision that after having a baby naturally, after transferring 2 embryos and having twins, having a baby naturally, we're struggling to come to a compromise on whether our family is complete now, whether we go back for those other 2 embryos. If we do decide our family is complete, what happens to those embryos? And genetic testing seemed like the next step that made sense to help us in our decision, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally. After we get the results from the genetic testing, we'll have some more discussions.
Exactly.
And, you know, I guess we'll see how it goes as well, you know, as the kids get a little bit older, hopefully a little bit more independent. Mm-hmm. A little less demanding. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to picture another child right now in our household.
Me too.
Because it's complete chaos all the time.
Right.
Even now, the kids.
I know, it's totally understandable. It's when the twins were a little over a year old, we started having the conversation about like when would we plan to transfer the next embryo. And it wasn't long after that I found out I was pregnant naturally. But when we first started that conversation, he thought I was absolutely nuts to even think about that. But it's just like women think about it completely differently, but it's also not adding a baby into our lives as it is right now.
And then, if both embryos are genetically normal,
right,
are we doing twins again?
Oh my gosh.
So you'll have to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on our journey, because we don't know yet.
We don't.
All right. Well, we'll see you probably tomorrow.